Hmm. Look at there. I love Facebook. It makes me happy inside. Hmm. Yes, I do. If nobody comes over to watch this freaking video because it didn't work, I'm going to be pissed. I'm out there being Jim Cantori. It's getting ready to storm. I can't see. I can't get anybody on my video. It's bad times. At least I have internet. That's rare. So last week we did not do a video. Kate and Carrie and I are trying to do a video every week. I like to do it on Facebook because more people see it. La, la, la. Didn't work. And so we didn't do a video last week because I was drowning in children. That's what I was doing. Yep. Yes.
Hey there.
Oh, look at there.
The gang's all back.
Facebook is broken.
I never try it that way, so.
That's I like that phrase, Carrie. The gang's all back.
The gang's all back. That has some legs to it. I gotta see. I got these new glasses today. I don't know. Can you see my? Nah. I can't. Never mind.
Never mind. Oops.
Well, put them on. Let us see them.
You want to see them? Hang on.
They seem very 70s to me.
Yeah, I know. They look so cute.
Glasses.
They're like designed by Serena Williams. Like she
Are
has.
they readers?
What? Yeah, they're readers. They're readers. I wear contacts.
That's what readers are. Let me see them. Put them on.
Well, all right.
Oh, these young eyes. These young eyes of mine.
Oh, enjoy those eyes.
I'm blind.
Wait. Are those real glasses?
Yeah, like they're glass. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I have a little head.
That's what I'm thinking, which is a good thing.
Are they white?
Are they what?
Are they white?
They're gold. They're like rose gold.
Oh.
But I have to be careful about glasses. I can't wear hats. It's not always easy to be a little head person.
You have a pea.
I have a pea head.
You can buy children's sunglasses.
That's true. I actually now, and I also have ridiculously little wrists. I don't know if you can see.
I have little wrists too, so maybe we could have let's have a contest.
Like little wrist people. Like I wear this watch, but it's so silly because it's way too big. I wear like children's size wrists. This is not to say the rest of me is the same, but my wrists and my head are very small.
Do you have small ears? I have really small ears too.
I don't know. Yeah, I get they fit on my head. You know what I mean? So they probably are small.
They're here. Yep.
Adrian, where are you? I know everybody asked that, but I didn't get to see the answer.
I'm in Beaufort at my parents' house.
Oh, that's nice. Just you visiting them?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How far of a drive is that, Adrian?
So it's near where we go to the beach. It's about 2.5 hours. They're like 20 minutes from us. You know, they had a condo they bought when I was 5, and they rented it out a bunch, and then we used it. And then I would bring the kids and come and stay with them. And then they moved out and bought their own house.
Oh, with the sleep number bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So will you drive home tonight? Like, do you just drive just to visit and come back the same day?
No. I'm staying here, and my kids get out of tennis camp tomorrow. And so I took them on Sunday. So a friend is bringing them back here. And then Amos and my husband will come Friday.
Oh, that's nice.
One thing about you, Adrian, is you pop up in different places. Like and I don't know anyone else like this. I'm being honest. Like, you have sleepovers. Like, you are places.
I really go places.
Yes. And so that is very rare for us. Like, it's but you get to go alone sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because I have our nanny she kind of gave her off. She was off a couple weeks because she had helped us a bunch. And then I said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go with my parents. So you'll have him Wednesday afternoon, Thursday till Friday. And home at night. And, he's not sleeping. So my husband says I'm very good at self-preservation.
That's a good thing. I do not.
Well, I think he be. And I was fussy and complained about it. But I just it's like survival for me. Like Amos has been up since 1:50 this morning for the day.
Oh,
And I have to take, if I do that, I can do that, but then I got to have like, knowing I have a night or two away, then I like survive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go work when I
So,
speak. I don't speak though, because I want to just go and do nothing. I don't want to go and work. I
so
mean,
here's my question, and I wonder if it's if you guys remember when you had littler ones, because like Winnie's 2, like, and she is just like
I know.
precious, right? Yeah, like if I get really, I feel really guilty. Like and then I almost like don't even know what to do with myself. Like I feel, and then that makes me feel like a failure as a human. Like I don't know what to do with myself. Do you guys remember any of those days?
well, Joe and I were just talking about, like, I was telling you guys we were going to go out to dinner the other night. We used to go out to dinner religiously, the two of us, every week. And I said, we don't really do that anymore. He said it just felt like a necessity then when they were little, a necessity that we got out on our own.
Right.
I don't have a lot of guilt when when they were little and I got a break. I really soaked it in. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Mhm. Yeah, I can't. I don't. It was way harder. It was so hard. Now, like if my one big one's gone, the middle two are at camp. My 14-year-old daughter, she really does not like me to leave. So I'm
Oh,
taking advantage.
That's Sawyer.
I have been taking advantage this summer when she's been at camp. My little tryst, whatever you want to call them, have been while she's at camp,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
she will drive you. That's why I had to stop speaking and traveling. It was too, she just made her miserable. It wasn't worth it. I mean, I was like, I'm not doing that. Anyway.
So Sawyer, we went. Jamie and I got away for the first time in like 3 years. We went to Chicago for 2 nights, and it was like a whirlwind. It was too fast. Like wasn't even as like it should have been. It was so fast. But our flight was delayed and delayed and delayed. So when we got in on Friday, another family had to take Sawyer to the start of his baseball tournament and have dinner. And Jamie, the second we landed, Jamie took off, and we had planned it that way that I would stay back with the other 3 kids so Sawyer could have a night in the hotel and shenanigans and fun,
Right.
He was mad at me for 2 weeks for missing that dinner. And like it took like 2 weeks of like build up for it to come out. And I was like, your dad was there. Like I purposely was like, I want you to have fun. It's funny how we think we're doing the right thing, but sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
A lot
It
of
can be
guilt.
hard because Charlie's my Sawyer, but I'll tell you what your future looks like. Charlie right now is in Georgia. He's been there since Saturday. It's a team only event. They don't have any parents go. Charlie's living his best life. He's in a hotel room with a buddy. It's escape room. They went on a boat. Like like they
So
need
fun.
you less. But I always maintain to my kids, I can't be everywhere at once. I set that baseline kind of early on. I had some guilt about Charlie because we missed a really big game of his like a year ago. But I mean, it's so. I think even if you didn't have Cooper, you would still be dividing and conquering at these things.
Oh yeah, 4 people. It's a lot.
Yeah, and Winnie's still really little, so that's hard. It's hard. We described Charlie at that age as thirsty. He was constantly thirsty for us in ways that we really couldn't deliver. So sometimes I hear that with Sawyer. I mean, it's okay to be a little upset that your mom's not there, but to hold on to that so deeply, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's hard knowing though, like how it's hard to know how much seriousness to give to it. But I think
Yes.
but sometimes like, I think when I hear you say that, Carrie, it makes me think, okay, then it is the right thing to give them this time and attention now, because it's not going to last forever.
It's true. It is true that it's fleeting. I wish I could have done more, but it just wasn't like our circumstances. My light just went off to do more.
Yeah.
And
you
that's
have kids too. I think 5, even it's like I have 5 kids and you had a bunch right there together. I think 4, and it's like you can almost do it.
yes. But yours are young still, Kate. I mean, you have to like give yourself a break on that.
Yeah.
Well, this is the interesting part though, and I think people will relate to this. My 4-year-old and 2-year-old are so amazing outside of the house. They can go to a hotel and like suddenly they're with a group of boys and they're playing. I don't even have to watch them.
Right.
Like, meaning they can go to a restaurant, and so if it was just our family, they'd probably be a little naughty, but like if there's kids, they're gonna stay in the game room. Like
right.
So we can still mold them and shove them and bring them and make it all happen. Cooper, we can't.
Right.
So that's our unique hard part. So I have these like fleeting moments where I'm like, oh gosh, we probably could have did it, you know, or like you just have these like fleeting moments, like we probably could have.
But then how much would you even be able to pay attention to the game? It's like,
oh gosh, Harbor and Winnie are so good. Like grandpa and grandma come and like Winnie sits and puts Band-Aids on and Harbor is like with his little glove, like at the dugout watching. It's not gonna be like that forever. I know that. But like
I know.
They are really easy kids outside of our home. It's weird.
Well, that is weird. And yet inside, are they just more relaxed? Like to be their true selves?
I guess.
Yeah.
They're probably excited to be out. I think the difference is if we go to the pool and like we were going to meet some friends this weekend and they have 2 littles, but their kids will be fine to play. Where Amos is the loose cannon is if he decides he's ready to go, like Cooper, somebody has to leave. Like a typically developing 3-year-old or 6-year-old, when they're done with that nap, I mean, we never ever had to leave somewhere.
Yeah.
Unless somebody like started puking, you know, like leave. Where with Amos, it's like time to go home, and then it's
okay.
over.
So we're going to Autism Family Camp. This is exactly on the same vein. We're going to Autism Family Camp this weekend. It's the most beautiful weekend of the year. Right. Okay. So found out that Sawyer has a state baseball tournament, of course, same weekend. So Jamie's gonna go, and I'm going to bring the 3 kids and I've like already talked to like every other family, like help me, you know, but I was explaining this on my supporter live today. If we're in the mess hall eating, right, we're all eating and Cooper's done, he's gone. So that I'll have to say like, can someone help Winnie and Harbor finish up? And it's taken me like years to be able to do that.
To ask
to go. Adrian, you get it, right? Like I have to chase. I have to go.
Do you ever think of traveling with a sitter? That's
so really I think we're going to have someone come. I think our PCA is going to come. But as you say, we have a lot of moving parts. So I have to figure out how to make it work. We'll survive. It's all families like ours.
And then that's like another I don't know what your relationship with that person is. We never had a sitter come with us because I thought that's just another person whose needs I have to make sure are being met. Like, has she eaten and where's she sleeping and what's the boundary when her time is off? So it just felt too big for me, but I know a lot of people do it well.
Mm-hmm. I've done it with, when my husband, like for Easter, he did spring break, like our big boys have a spring break and then the littles have a spring break. So he couldn't take a week off for both. So we picked one. And then our nanny went with us for spring break and that was really nice. I mean, that really did make a difference. I could take Blair to do some things.
Yep.
And I do think we're getting to a point now where we've been leaving Amos at home to do things, but now as he's getting older, he really wants to go. I think we're kind of moving into that territory more.
So Adrian, that's where we're gonna get to too. I can see it like coming. Like an example would be, let's just say we could get to Disney. We can't do a plane, but let's just say we could get there. We drove. Mm-hmm. My fear has always been like, Cooper would never go to a theme park for 8 hours. I don't even know. So it's like, if we had a person, I've thought about this, and I know other families that like fly grandparents out.
Yeah.
So they can like stay at the house, the rental. Cooper could swim at a rental. That would be a vacation to him. A vacation to him would be going to a hotel. A vacation to him would be going to an Airbnb. He wouldn't even really need. So that's always why our reason for not traveling is like, what do we do once we get there? But if we had a person, we could do it.
Yeah. 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 Cause I don't like it. We're going to a wedding in Pittsburgh in August, a family wedding, and children are not invited. In fact, that I said, are the teenagers invited? Like, I didn't know what, then they were like, yes, high school, whatever, 14 invited. So that kind of made it easy because I was like, he's not invited to anything. You know, like, even if he didn't have autism, like there are going to be no 9-year-olds at the wedding. And that made
I've never been to a wedding like that. I've heard about it, but where kids aren't. What's the reason?
I don't know. I think it's wonderful.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just never heard. I wonder why. Because I think kids make weddings fun.
I didn't have young children at my wedding. I mean, I guess we had young children, family members.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, we had a lot of Joe's 1 to 6, so there was a ton of. I want to say there were 16 nieces and nephews.
Oh God, yes, you had a bunch.
But I hadn't been to a lot of weddings, but the weddings I mostly went to were all adults. I never really knew kids went to weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can see. Like, maybe it's a Midwest thing. I mean, the kids are the dance floor, like just shaking a leg, like.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, no, that was not my experience.
I think geographical. Had kids. Everybody was in their 20s.
Yes.
Right. We didn't have kids. Maybe if we had a sibling or something, just wasn't that way. Anyway.
Do you know what I want to do? Like, I have like a fantasy about going to like an adults only resort. Like, I want to go to a place. Like, I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's like,
no, they're fantastic. That's where when I go.
Go and like not like hear children.
Yeah, we go to Sandals. We went to Sandals in Jamaica, and then last November we went to Sandals in Grenada. I mean, I don't mind hearing children. What's that?
Don't the children go?
No, so that's Beaches. Beaches and Sandals are the same company, but Beaches is the family resort, and Sandals is no kids. You have to be 18 or older. And I don't mind being around other people's kids at all, ever. I mean, but it is kind of nice to just know, like, everywhere you go is going to be quiet. Nobody's throwing, kind of upset or crying fit or whatever. But yeah, you should totally do that, Kate. We'll come watch your kids. The 2 aunts will come watch your kids.
Jamie and I went on a cruise for we went on a cruise for our honeymoon, and I will tell you, it was like, I'm sure there's many variations of cruises, but the one we went on, I can't remember. It was like a 5-stop in the Caribbean or whatever, but it was like so trashy, and it was like food fights and like drunken people, and like I was like, I don't know if this is what I was expecting.
That didn't happen on Adrian's cruise. I don't remember food fights on your cruise. Although that man won that. Did you see that contest at the pool that man won?
No.
Oh, he was like he was dancing. And yeah, anyway.
There was a person that was under room arrest on our cruise.
Oh yeah, you got all into that. I don't remember. I went to bed. Mm-hmm. I go to bed early.
And if you if you get arrested, room arrest on the cruise boat, if you act bad, they put you in your room, they pack your bags, and they put a guard outside your door. And wherever you are the next day, they just toss you out at the stop, and you have to figure out how to get home.
Stop it. What did the person do?
Yeah, that was my question. I don't remember.
I was so intrigued, and the guard wouldn't tell us anything. Fortunately, one of my subscribers was right across the hall. They were like, "You can't be here." And I was like, "Well, we're visiting Judy right there." So we went in her room and looked out the peephole. But
yeah. I remember you guys doing that. That's crazy.
I wonder if it's drunk shenanigans. It probably has to be drunk shenanigans, don't you think?
Fights in bars.
Yeah.
I would think so. I didn't see anybody that was a very family-friendly cruise, but I didn't see anybody behaving like weird.
Well, you were asleep.
I was asleep by 10. I did the dining room rounds with Lori most nights. With you guys. 10.
I was not asleep by 10.
No, you were wild.
There's a wide variation of cruise quality levels.
Yeah. Are you doing that again? Are you going to do another cruise?
I have not scheduled it, but I'm thinking. I've worked on my calendar today. That was one of my jobs. February. I'm thinking February.
And is it going to be me? I'll do. What's going to do it together, and we'll do it to both our audiences, or are you holding it private?
No, I'm not against that, but it was a different. We need to talk about the group that goes.
What does that mean? She does subscribers, right? You only do subscribers on the
subscriber cruise, but it was really my older group. Nobody hardly had young children that went. And
yeah, that's true.
Don't you think, Carrie?
I wouldn't even think people would bring children.
I just think who can go, people that have
right
kids at home and who have more money and time off,
Mm-hmm. I'm trying my glasses on again because I can't really see you guys so good. Yeah, I guess they're not good.
I kind of like it.
I will tell you, during COVID, there was like a bunch of Minnesotans that got stuck in their cruise ship. Do you remember that? Like they wouldn't let them off because they tested positive for COVID.
Yes.
It was like our like top news. They're like checking in, and the couple's like, we've been in here for like 7 days, you know? So I think I'm a little nervous about cruising. But
I said the same thing. I mean, before Adrian basically coerced me, I don't know. What is the word, Adrian? I was in a Kohl's parking lot in January.
persuaded,
She's like,
enticed.
come on this cruise. I
Invited.
was like, invited. And so it was a great time though. And I'm not a big cruiser. We did the same kind of cruise, Kate, for our honeymoon, and we were so broke. We were basically on the lowest level you could get on. Like we thought we'd have to like shovel coal into the engine in the morning. And so, but this one, I was on like the 8th floor. You were on like the penthouse, weren't you? You were way up there.
House. We did have a suite, but we had like 6 people shoved
Oh, we
in.
had like 100 people in there. See, I had my own room, Kate. That's the way you do it. I got up. They had a massive fitness center I ran every morning. It was great.
Carrie is one of the few people that goes to the gym on the cruise.
I do. I was the only one there. There had to be 50 treadmills, and I was the only one like
there.
When we went to Spain, people in Europe, they move very slowly, and I was on the treadmill, and the guy next to me was on the elliptical, and he had flip-flops on, and he turned to me, he's like, you have got to relax. It was so
What's
fun.
the point of going on an elliptical and flip-flops? Like you're probably gaining calories. Like what's
An
the
elliptical
point?
At all? Have you ever? I've never done
Eating
the
a
elliptical.
donut.
Somebody just asked if y'all were professors.
Yes, I am.
Actually, yes. I'm a professor of nonsense. I'm a professor of ridiculousness.
It's basically like Papa Smurf and Inspector Gadget.
Who's who?
I don't
Hey,
know.
do you know what my kids just told me?
What?
You may know this already, that every character in Winnie the Pooh has a diagnosis.
What?
Yeah, that's what my kids are trying to tell me. Like the piglet has autism. Tigger
Yours
has,
depressed.
Yours depressed.
Yeah.
Tigger has ADHD. I don't know. Henry, are you there? No.
What does Pooh have?
Something, I don't know. A sugar.
Diarrhea.
Henry, what does Pooh have in Winnie the Pooh?
He has an eating disorder.
An eating disorder.
I feel that.
Have I gotten all the characters? Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger. Who
What
else?
about Christopher Robin and Rabbit?
Oh, and the owl has OCD. What does the rabbit have?
No, maybe the rabbit has OCD, but the owl has dyslexia.
The owl has dyslexia.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
rabbit has
Oh,
OCD.
and the kid has schizophrenia.
And the kid has schizophrenia.
I feel like this is such an old show, though. Like, was autism really a? I mean, we know it was a thing, but was it talked about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Up now. This is not actually legit.
I'm gonna Google it.
It came
I
from
Google everything.
my offspring, so there's a very good chance it's not legit.
Stifling this information. Yes, this is lie.
Henry, Mrs. Adrian says it's not legit.
No, Mom, it's an actual thing.
It's
the
a
writers
thing.
did that on purpose to show awareness.
Oh, cool. Oh, your Converse, you got new Converse. They're in the mudroom. I don't know.
Well, come on.
Well, I found something about mental health. So, I mean, there is an article about it.
Okay, we're talking about something else. We're not talking about poo.
Okay.
All right, fine, bossy pants.
I get to pick the topic. The
Go
topic.
for it.
The topic tonight is how is summer going?
Mine went south about a week ago.
Sensitive topic.
Okay, so Carrie's lost her mother this
I
summer.
did.
And
Yep.
writing really some very heartfelt, really nice, I hate to say nice things because I know you're doing a lot of processing, but really introspective writing.
Yeah, thank you. It's really forced me. So people who are new to my story, I lost my mom. It's about a week and a half ago. We had been estranged for nearly a dozen years. For us, estranged looks like perhaps in touch 12 times. She met my youngest twice, and he's 14. So it was a choice. It was for many reasons. Again, mental health played a large role in that. She was not mentally well. And she passed, and the ending was messy. It was a bit of a messy ending. And I was writing sort of in my mind as I drove home, my first blog essay that I wrote about her estrangement, an essay, I did not want to villainize her. I really did not want to just do a laundry list of every way I felt shortchanged and all my bad memories and all the trauma. And so by making that choice, it forced me to do some like whole brain thinking, like, yes, she was this, but she was also this. And it was very cathartic for me. And my oldest read it. He's in Philadelphia in college. And he said it moved him to tears. They don't know her at all. And he said it was the first blog post of yours I'd ever read that I had not been a part of. And by that, he means I write about our family. I write about all stuff they already know about.
Right.
So it's sort of like a reveal to him about what things looked like and felt like to me for years. And so what's really, really shocked me is hundreds of messages from people who have similar fractured experiences. Parentally, siblings.
And I think you're using that word estrangement. I thought was so powerful. And I've had similar experience when I lost my brother, and the anniversary of his death was yesterday. And when I talk about grieving him and grieving him, it's like people come out of the woodwork, right? I mean, you know, and it makes you think. Kate and I were talking about this on the phone yesterday. Like, we want to reach people who, when those comments come or messages come, you're like, wow, we really need to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's such a shared story, and I needed to do it in a way that honored my brother and sister as well. You know, we're a part of this story, but don't really feel like they want it on the forefront. And it for me tapped into a deeper skill set as a writer, right? Like I couldn't just report on everything I've experienced. I had to be able to craft it in a way that people could see a piece of themselves inside our story. I just said the other night, to me, good writing lets someone see a piece of themselves inside my words. Great writing helps changes the way people live their own story, even if it's just a teeny amount. So
Carrie, were your brother and sister close with her?
Nobody could really be close with her. So my mom was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is a very, very difficult disorder to maintain a healthy relationship with a person. So they orbited her. They were very loyal to her. But I don't think any of us could really had a relationship that you could characterize as traditional or ordinary by any means. Okay. My brother's the oldest, and he's been on the lives. He's the gentlest human being. And he bore the brunt of a lot, and he cared for her until the very, very end. And my sister kind of orbited and bounced in and out when it made sense to her. So,
is your brother married?
Yes, he's married with 2 daughters, 2 really adorable daughters. And my sister's married with 3 sons. And what's fascinating, what came out of the woodwork is an aunt and uncle of mine who I thought there was a falling out some years ago. And I thought it was a mutual falling out. And they both somehow through Facebook sort of heard about all this going on. And they said, no, it wasn't mutual. She refused to have us in her life.
Oh, gosh.
So there's sort of like a ripple effect, right? Like when you're estranged from one person and they in turn sort of shut everybody out, like we've lost out on relationships we could have had our whole lives. Yeah. And what's really interesting, and I'm working very hard as a human being and a wife, not to run parallel stories right now. And by that, I mean, my husband lost his mother almost exactly a year ago. It was a much different situation. We've had no services. My mother said absolutely no services whatsoever. A year ago, we were looking through pictures and picking hymns out. It was very celebratory. The house was packed with food and flowers and plants. I'm not necessarily asking for those things, but there is a certain void there's really very little of that. People aren't sure, I think, how to honor this relationship I had with her.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember when Joe's mom was passing. That was a really hard time.
Yes. Yeah. And he's been really such a rock through all of this. I just wrote today, this morning, he had to have an MRI. That was like terrifying.
What was MRI'd?
he has a swollen lymph node on his neck.
Oh.
But I've had an MRI, it's horrible. I'm horribly, horribly claustrophobic. I mean, it's a real issue for me. And so I had to take a little Valium. I've never taken that before, but to get this MRI a few years ago. And for this one to have his neck still, they had to put like a cage over his face.
So you held his hand, I read. I can't
Yes.
let anybody else in the room.
I was surprised too, but I think they thought, oh, now my husband is a big guy. He has really big shoulders, like a big head. I thought, how are we going to wedge him into that tube? That's not going to go right. They didn't ever question they had a stool. I don't know if this is common. When I did it, but it was pre-COVID, they let him be in the room with me.
Oh, I'll be
yeah. But I had a bobby pin in, I had my hair up, and halfway through the bobby pin started like rotating and flipping. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Because it's a big magnet. So I was like, imagine that thing flew right in
your
there.
brain waves out.
I can't see out of one eye now.
Where's glasses?
We might see my glasses. You make fun of me. This is a rose gold. I think they're gorgeous. Oh my God. They're really,
it's frozen. Okay, that was so great. It was like frozen with you on with the glasses. That was great.
Any block. I love it.
yes. So thank you for asking. We are definitely processing, and such is life. We are unlucky in one space, and I got very, very lucky with the family I have built. And that was what I put in my blog. Like whenever I feel these maternal ghosts haunt me and I think, am I her? Right? Am I her? I think I have built something different. I have built something new. And that kind of keeps me afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you certainly have.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly have.
Yeah. So how's your summer going?
Let's ask Kate.
Oh.
I am done. I am exhausted beyond exhausted. So I was just saying this to my supporters. I was saying I live in a perpetually busy world. Like I actually really like busyness. If you ask my husband, he'll say the same thing. Like I love a little bit of chaos. I'm a project manager by trade. I love fixing a mess. I love it. And then when I just submitted a bonus chapter for my book, thank you, Carrie, for the help on that one part, kind of just finished up a bunch of stuff. And now I just have kid things. And I feel like I struggle internally with like feeling like a failure. Like I don't do well without work busyness, which is why I can never be a stay-at-home mom. I'm not good at it. I want to be, but I can't. It's a whole nother thing to talk about. So I'm kind of struggling with, I like struggle with like, what's my purpose? Like, am I just here to like drive kids around? Like, oh my gosh. And then the other thing is, and I wonder if you have this, Adrienne, with Amos, like my kids they don't let me sit down. Like my kids don't sit and watch a movie. My kids are really busy. They're really playful. So like, I'm like doing Legos and I'm like Play-Doh and coloring. And I get to the point where I will like walk around the house so I don't have to play. And they will just like follow me like little ducks. But I'm just tired. I don't know. Are you guys tired? Is anyone else tired? And I don't want to be that way because summer in Minnesota is 5 minutes long.
Yeah. When do your kids go back? I was thinking about that. Mine are not till August 29th.
We're after Labor Day.
Oh, you're after. We're always before Labor Day.
Yep. And I don't know. We just kind of go crazy at home. Like we like to be active. We like to be doing things. We have the constant battle with, are we able to take Cooper? And I don't know. We're like, there's probably some level of dysfunction here that we should break down at some point, but I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. I hear you. I do remember the days of not even being able to look at a magazine. And then when the day comes that you're like, oh, I'm sitting here. I've just read this magazine. Like it's such a delight when a new season is on you. Mine is busy in a different way. Like yesterday, I was just thinking I had to have my daughter driver's ed at 8, my son at his theater camp at 9, get her at 10, drop her off somewhere at noon, pick her up at 2, and to pick him up at 4.
That's what my days are like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I wouldn't say it's not without purpose, but it feels tedious and it feels like it doesn't light me up inside. My days are lit up inside when I can I have a block of time to write. I have a block of time to run. Like I do things that fuel me. I am trying to like choose my own internal state and really think, okay, I'm in the car with this human being, just this one human being, and they're talking to me, and it's just like time for us. So that was helpful. But yeah, I don't like those days of just like back to back errands.
We had a summer maybe 2 years ago. I had a summer where that was the whole summer. It started at like Amos went to a camp about 35 minutes away. So, that was an hour and 15 minutes twice a day. And then the middle two were both working and they had different schedules. So every 2 hours I got in the car and drove. So I drove 6 hours a day. And I was so foul. I mean, I remember somebody said to me, I haven't seen you sit on the beach all summer. And I was like, because I'm in the freaking car. And that was the last summer I signed Amos up for that camp. I mean, I was like, I think I just acknowledged like that is not worth the trade-off,
Yeah.
We have a little more freedom. My middle two are super busy. So there's been more with them, but I've had some stints that are just like this week, like we're just kind of here, but I've not been able to work as much. So like last week I said to y'all, like, I can't get a thing done. I can't get anything done. And Kate, you've got little two and going to childcare. So back when I had Amos in that camp in the summer, I could get some stuff done, but I can't, I mean, you could get a little done, but I can't really think, and I think just trying to acknowledge that I don't mind deadlines over my head, like make me stress. Like it sounds like you like them. I really don't. So I love to look at a week and feel like I don't have anything that I've got to do because I always feel like I'm dropping balls. It makes me feel more like I like the feeling that I don't have anything to screw up.
That's interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
I feel like you do get a lot done. I mean, you're really, really great about your social media presence and keeping that up.
No, but like I haven't been able to write like Blair's birth, like all these great things have happened and I can't write. I mean, like I'm putting somebody to bed and then I'm tired or I'm in the pool. Like, when you have to have time to process.
Yeah.
I just wrote this funny line in my bonus chapter of my book about when I wrote my main book. It was during COVID and all the kids were home. Jamie was home and he's an insurance agent. So he's like very, data in, data out. And we would have these like comical fights now where he's like, just right. And I'm like, I don't feel inspired, And like we had a glass door on the office and like the kids would like press their naked bodies up with like fruit stacks and like shake them at me to open. And it's funny because like while I can write, and Avery, we've talked about this, I can write a pretty good post fast on my phone. I still need 10 minutes. And I don't even have 10 minutes to think.
10 minutes. Just something. And like Carrie's processing some big feelings. And I feel like I'm missing a chance to process some big feelings because in the moment, like, and then that you don't want those to build up in you and then overwhelm you.
I know. Do you guys have anything that you don't share? Like I have a lot of like really big topics that I don't share and therefore I don't write about them. And writing is how I process. Isn't that funny? I thought about writing under a fake name.
Well, you'll just have to tell us the name. So it can't be that fake.
I could submit to like her view from home or something.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I was talking about Amos not sleeping this morning and sleeping in our bed. And this has been a 5-year, scenario. And this mom sent me a message and I told you this, Kate. And she said, I think I said something like, well, I mean, he's not going to sleep in it forever, right? And you said like, oh yeah, Cooper, when he was 11, he stopped. And I said, well, this mom messaged me and said, my son's 25 and he still sleeps with us. And I was like, holy. And I thought, okay, this is important to talk about,
without shame.
Right.
Able to tell anybody that, I bet, that is not
right. That's really tough.
Do you want to know one of the most things that I'm like, okay, so this is going to sound really, really weird, but in the autism community, and I'm sure other disabilities, there's a group that can have issues with going to the bathroom, and they can do things with their potty. And it's like this really like, there's like this huge stigma around it. Like you can't just like pop on a parenting group and like ask like, what do you do when your child paints with their poop? Or I mean, I don't want to get into too many details, but
Right.
I started this like small group, Facebook chat like a year ago, because all these parents reached out to me and I was like, he's like, I'm embarrassed. I have nowhere to ask questions. Like, what do I do? Like, and I'm going to say something, eating it or things. These are real problems, right? And it gives me goosebumps because I connected with these moms and like they chatted and like connected and like cried together. And like they had like found their people. And it's like, that's like my one purpose was like this one small group of like 8 people, right? But how do you find them?
It's so true, because I get that a lot with aggression. People ask me a lot through messages about aggression. We didn't have a ton of aggression.
Yep.
But when Jack got taken advantage of, that again was like, oh, my daughter gave all her money to somebody. Oh, my son did this. You know, like I like that idea of a smaller subgroup, because isn't that the whole point, is for people to feel like they're not alone in whatever messiness they're facing.
Mm-hmm.
And people that don't necessarily want to fix it. You know, like,
Yeah.
sometimes
it's okay just to be like, that's
Okay, so this is where I have landed. So I cried this morning. I never cry. I think we all. Okay, I'm like this like weird. My co-partner Amanda says that I have an iron heart,
No.
but it's not true. But I am so heartbroken over Cooper's schooling. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix the random aggression. I don't know how to do this. And I feel this weight and pressure of the next like 6 or 7 years. How am I going to get through this? And I'm starting to land on like, I can do everything and it still is. Like this I can't fix this. Cooper is loved and he's cared for and I'm doing everything I can. And this still happens. That is a hard mountain to climb. So when I find the other moms that they like message me and they're like, you know, the same thing is happening and we're heartbroken. And I'm like, I love you. I love you. It's like our elephant of shame that we just can't talk about.
But Kate, I realize that is a real problem, but isn't there some question of, is it actually a problem? Because I do not see that side of Cooper at all. And even a little yourself of like, is this really happening?
Cooper is, and this is the love of a mother, but like, he is like very stubborn. He is very lazy. He wants to live his life exactly how he wants to live it. And and at home, he has this phenomenal life. Cooper moves freely throughout our home. At school, you know, there are some IEP goals. Like there are some things. And like a lot of it has been modified. Like Cooper naps every day at school and that's fine. Nap, do it. I mean, nap. We don't care. They don't care. But like, I think he gets frustrated and he doesn't, and no, we don't see it at home. And yes, there is that doubt, but I don't know. It's so hard to talk about because I was saying this and my friend Cindy's on this live. It has made me prickly and doubtful and angry and paranoid. Like it's made me a person I don't want to be. And I don't like it. I don't like that I have to like be doubtful about this. I'm like Minnesota nice.
But the way you just described it, I'm kind of ancillary to this. I know of it, but I don't know many of the details. But I think you just described it perfectly. Like home is a very low demand space. School is just this much higher of a demand. I mean, that was Jack too at age 12. Home, he lost his mind at school, probably maybe bigger than Cooper did. And I think hormones are also starting to play a role. And I think when you worry about fixing it, I would say worry less about that and just think more about the timeline. It's not going to be this way forever.
Well, but like the tightrope that I'm walking, and this is where, and I have felt this in all 12 years of Cooper's life. No one will tell me what to do because no one knows what to do.
Right.
And 50% of me is like, I'm going to keep Cooper home. He will be the happiest camper ever. We'll do an activity a day. I don't want to do that because of what I mentioned earlier. It's not me. And then the other 50% is like, no, gosh darn it. He loves going to school. He truly does. He loves being in the community. He is smart. He's learning. But I cannot, my anxiety, you guys, when I give presentations to 400, 500 people during a day, I have to have my phone with me. Because if Cooper, if something happens, I'll make this joke like, hey, if the school calls, I gotta hop off. And I'm like joking, but I'm not, you know?
Yeah.
I'm terrified all the time. And I don't know if people understand that there are parents that live in terror all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to fix it.
I think you need to, I do think you need to talk about that. And I can see why you wouldn't. I feel like I'm sort of starting to dip my toe in that water as Amos gets bigger, you know, and we had something happen last week where
I feel like Linda's comment is sort of offensive. Could we like not have it on the screen?
I delete it.
I can't see it. I need my glasses.
Hold on.
I actually had someone send me a message the other day and they're like, you sure let your furniture get dirty? Remember, it was like, you obviously don't care or tell your kids no. And I was like, thank you.
Keyboard courage at its finest.
and that might be a good thing to end with, because when you do what the three of us do, you are really putting yourself on a silver platter, like a, you know, naked turkey for everybody to dissect. And it's really tough. It's really tough. And sometimes it's just too much.
Singularly, it's not. And that's why people are always like, just block them. It's like one person criticizing your paper plates is fine. I'm making this up, but it gets to be, it's like paper plates and sugar cereal and hot dogs and processed food. And it's like, it gets to be everything. And I get worn down. I feel like I'm being scolded a million times over by like the ladies who lunch.
You guys are so much bigger. I don't get quite as much like flack about things. And you guys are so great about, you know, what I honor about you both is you let us into your homes. That's very vulnerable. You have us right with you, with your little ones and your homes. And that's really beautiful. And occasionally I do that more on my subscriber page, mostly because there's always a teenager like lurking in a corner somewhere sleeping. All my kids do is sleep lately. But I agree. And I think what I would want people to know is we do this. We don't do this because we want to be well known or we want to like build these huge platforms. We do this because we felt alone at some point in this journey. And if I could do anything for another mother or an estranged daughter or a wife, it's to say you are not alone. And so that's what I would hope people could understand. And so they could maybe overlook some of the things they find so troublesome in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Adrienne, I think you're so much more, and so I'm going to say brave, and I don't know if you are, but like I watched a live where like you gave Amos his medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I would never.
Oh, interesting.
I couldn't even imagine if I did that. Like do you just not care? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you're brave.
I don't, you know, I think some of those things, I guess I feel so confident in my decision that I don't give a rat's ass.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And, you know, and I'll say something like, okay, whoever your name is, Juanita Barker, tell me where you went to medical school. I'd love to know.
Yes.
You know, like, don't speak. I mean, so I guess I don't have time. I'm sort of mean. I'll just cut you down, you know, because you're Dr. Copeland is at Duke Autism. He has a degree in this and you don't. So,
yes.
You know, anyway, that doesn't.
Or message up. Like I welcome dialogue. I really do. I've realized that if I'm going to put material out there, it's a responsibility for me to let people's comments land. But at the very least, just send it in a message. So I have a chance to
message me, I'm going to share it. Do not message.
Don't message Adrienne.
No, but
Message me.
they don't want to say something mean in front of everybody. So they
Uh,
want to be critical, but not have anybody see it. So,
My messages have always been very kind. It's more like I'm paraphrasing, but it would be like, well, why did you do the medicine that way, or something like that. I haven't really gotten a negative message.
So Kate, your people, and I guess medicine was one thing years ago when I talked about for the first time, because it was so new to me. I think I said 4 milliliters changed our life. Amos had started Lexapro, and within 30 minutes, there were 800 comments. And I thought, wow, this is something people want to talk about, and don't feel like they can talk about, when you look at all those comments,
I agree. And that's why, like, in my supporter group, I'm like, ask questions about potty training, aggression, medication, self-injuring, because those are not questions you can bring to the baby center and the bump and the typical mommy group, because they will eat you alive.
Absolutely.
So I think giving people a space and we need to be able to ask questions. So I think that Cooper was failed. No one even mentioned anxiety or medication until he was 10. We started him on Prozac, and within 24 hours, he sat for the first time.
Wow.
He sat. It was so life-changing. It gave him such a chance. So, like, if asked, I will sing the praises. And while that's not everyone's story,
right.
There shouldn't be shame and guilt and judgment.
Right.
But I'll get it. Like, I'll get like a 70-year-old man that's like, you're drugging your child. And I'm like, you come babysit him.
Yeah. Oh, I completely understand that.
I'm like, I'm going to put succinylcholine in your drink. You better watch out. No. So Sid Berry just said, when you put your family out to the universe, aren't you opening yourself up to criticism? Yes, I think we are opening up to criticism. But I guess I wonder, criticism, there's different ways to do things. Like, would you say this to me across the table? And that, if you wouldn't, then I don't think it's fair.
Well, and I would love to have a debate about, let's just say meds, a healthy debate about meds. But like saying your kid's fat because you feed him processed foods, I don't know if that's a good criticism or worth saying. That's the part I'm talking about, like the weird things, like you use tin foil, you're giving your kids cancer. Like, am I though? That's the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah, no.
Right.
And criticism and conversation are two very different things. I'd much rather have a conversation. And that is a really tough part about it. You have to kind of, you guys have thicker skin than I do, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think you do. I think there's always been this mantra of don't feed the trolls and run away from the trolls. But I think sometimes I find it sort of entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the best things that I do, and that I think the most education comes from, is if I get like a really juicy, mean comment, I will share it, like Adrienne's saying, but it's really like for example, like let's just say someone criticized Cooper's weight, which has happened numerous times. That's an example. Or maybe how he can't speak, how his sounds sound funny. I'll do a whole post about apraxia. And then I think what inadvertently happens is people are like, I was wondering why he sounds like that. I think there can be education from cruelty. I think there really is. And then also it's just funny to see.
Yeah.
So what about when I've had some, do you share the person's name if they comment something? I'm not talking like that kind of mean. I'm talking about like a whole nother level of mean. Like,
okay, so I have a reel that went like semi-viral of one of Cooper's videos must have got shared in like a fat shaming group. And there were like 10 comments, like calling him like unbelievable things. Mean. And it caught me on the wrong day. And I made a reel about it. And I will tell you, their employers were contacted. They had to shut their pages down. And here's the funniest part. All 5 or 6 or 7 of them, their feed was Christian, love God, such good people, but they just didn't like this autistic boy from Minnesota.
That's incredible.
And so when I've done it, there's maybe been 3 people that I've been like, you know what? You want some attention? I'll give you some attention.
You want it? Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
You should have had an abortion, all sorts of stuff.
Ugh.
Well, then they reach out and they're like, people are sending me hate. One woman said they found my address and they've egged my house. I was like, that is the biggest lie. It was like 10 years ago. But I mean, it's funny that suddenly it comes back on you and then it's like, help. I mean,
I didn't sign up for that.
Well, there people are like, why are you public shaming them? Well, they commented it from their public profile.
Yeah, it's public. Hello. I don't know if you know how the internet works, is what
I always say it comes full circle. So like, how do I want to see if I'm going to remember this. So I used to say, okay, so someone bullies me. I draw attention to it. My audience bullies them. And then I'm the mean person.
Yeah.
Right.
It always comes full circle. And it's like, I'm sorry that they, called me fat.
Yeah, hoping to gain out of that. Yes.
Yeah. I've had I think probably the meanest comment I've ever had, and I did write a blog post about it, and it still gets comments. It's probably like 4 years old. Someone said Cooper should have been euthanized. And and it was like in depth. It was like in other countries, they just get rid of these R words. And it was like really, really dark and really gross. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't believe that people thought that way. Mm-hmm. Like, and this person kept going, like responded for a while and was like, no, I don't think that he should be here.
It is scary. I mean, social media gives so many people opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have to spout out their viciousness. That's terrible.
And that's what I always say, when you reach like the size that I do, the reason I started a subscriber group, the truthful reason, is because I couldn't control anymore. Like Carrie, when at your page size, you can control it.
Yep.
You can mold it and manage it. What happens and I haven't had this happen in a long time, but if you have a really virally video, they're feeding it up to people that are not following autism.
Yes. They don't know that story.
Yes. And when I was smaller, it was just my audience that was watching me. And it was like a family. And then it was like, ooh, these people from India are really rough.
I've had that only when I had some really big shares, like Huffington Post. I got on MSN.com one time, and then it was like, oh, not everybody has this warm and fuzzy feeling for Carrie and Jack. Like,
yes,
they don't know all of us. And absolutely, it's like the growth piece. Yeah, I'm really comfortable. I mean, I love growing. I'm growing a nice little bit every day, but I also feel very safe with my audience for the most part.
And when I lost that, I was heartbroken.
I can see that. Yeah.
Adrienne, when you had your Lululemon post, did that bring you a lot of hate?
Oh, I mean, hate. Yes, but it was funny hate. It was like, I said, Lululemon doesn't have oversized 12. Lululemon is like, the men look better than I do in these clothes. And it goes viral. Well, then the fat shamers came out, and there were Reddit threads about, fat mom mad at Lululemon. Right. So then I did another video, and then it got shared on Yahoo News, and the whole video was mom shames trolls. And so I
didn't know that. That's crazy.
I didn't know that part either.
I read the comments from the trolls, and then I took like screenshots of their profile pictures on Facebook, and I would be like, and Mark, who has a dead cat on his roof, he thinks, yes, thank you, Mark, for, Mark works, whatever, I mean, it was fun.
So I remember, Adrienne, vividly when you read the Sasha Fierce letter.
Oh God!
It was the first live video I've ever seen of you, and so for spoiler, it was.
Back then I didn't do videos like you. I don't know why. I probably would have been smart, but I didn't. Only if I had something really big like that felt worth it. But I was so nervous.
So I was living alone with my 2 kids. I had just gotten off the treadmill. I was covered in sweat. I came upstairs and I watched your video. I can still see where I was sitting in my house 2 houses ago, and I laughed and laughed and laughed. It was the best. Can you read it again? Do you have it?
I don't have it like on me, but
No,
yes.
but I mean, next time we do a live, will
Yeah.
you read it?
Yeah, it says, dear tales of an uneducated hillbilly.
Adrian or Carrie, it's like the best thing
Oh,
ever.
I will have to check that out.
Person set up an email, and their email was an uneducated hillbilly at gmail.com. And they sent me, and they would send me these letters, and they were wonderful. Well, then I think I went too far and figured out who the person was, and they stopped.
Well, I remember, yeah.
Makes me sad, because it would be like, well, guess what? I just sharded when I saw who was on Yahoo News. And it was like the Lululemon one, like Sasha Fierce came back out.
Oh, that is like an alter ego.
I mean, they were very well written
Probably
comics.
one of your kids.
Yeah, right.
No, they were too little then, maybe now. Yeah.
But I laughed out loud. I was like, who is this ridiculous woman? Both of you together. They're all amazing. Like, this was
How long ago was that? Because I don't think I never saw it.
Harbor wasn't born yet.
Oh, so a little bit ago.
5 years?
5 years. I mean, I was not. Yeah, it was probably 2017, I think.
Why did she hate you, or Sasha hate you? I can't remember. What was the reason?
Well, Sasha hated me. The Lululemon was I think that was the second problem. Oh no, Lululemon was the first problem. And then American Airlines, like I shared this post, like American Airlines was really nice to us. We were flying. And then that got shared, like airlines, so nice. Cause this is back when we were just flying with Amos, very nerve wracking. We didn't know what to do. And she said, imagine my surprise when I look up and look who I see. The uneducated hillbilly is flying the skies,
Oh my God.
That's when she said she started.
So amazing.
All right, ladies. I gotta hop off. This I will say this about grieving, whatever that looks like for anybody, is exhausting. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm completely exhausted.
Kate and I were about you. Kate said, I think Carrie is really worn out.
Yeah.
This morning.
Yeah, you're just tired, and you're sort of living in different dimensions. Like, I'm very flooded by memories and sort of processing that. Yeah, I'm just tired, but that's okay.
Well, thank you for coming on tonight. And next week, where are we? Are we on Carrie's page or Kate's?
Oh, back on mine?
Oh, I don't know.
We had Jack on. God, was that?
Oh, it's me. It's me.
Yeah, it's you, because we had Jack 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I know we have some time together tomorrow, ladies, where we'll say hello. Not live, just us three.
A little meeting.
Yeah, a little meeting about some fun stuff we're thinking about. So stay tuned, people. That's your teaser.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Are we?